So about a week ago, I was going through the Steam store looking for something that would pique my interest, something that looked a bit different. I was looking for something new, and I came across Plague Tale: Innocence, which is a game that completely took me by surprise. I had absolutely no idea of its existence or development. I didn't see any trailers at all until literally last week. But after seeing them, I decided, okay, this looks really interesting. Looks like a really deep story. But let me do some more research before I purchase it because it's a pretty pricey game. Anyway, I did my research. I looked at a couple of reviews that other YouTubers had done, and I liked what I saw. One in particular, a guy called Luke Stevens, fantastic content creator by the way, does some really in-depth but also very poignant critiques regarding games. You should definitely check him out, Luke Stevens, my man. Anyway, after watching what he said, he described it in various fashions, but one particular thing that he said which intrigued me was he said it was very similar to Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. If you haven't played that game, you need to get on that right now. Forget this video, go and watch and play this game. Do anything that you can to play that game because it's fantastic. Anyway, going off of what he said in that regard, I thought, right, I'm getting it. So I purchased it. It's about £40, which is the equivalent to about 45, maybe 46 US dollars, I think. So it might be about £39 or something. Anyway, whatever. What I want to do in this video is just give you some key points about my experience in the game, what I feel with the different elements regarding the story, the gameplay, etc. Why I think you should purchase it. I'm going to try and do that in just over 10 minutes. So I hope you enjoy it. Here's my video. So a quick context of the setting of the game. The story takes place during the 100 Years' War between the kingdoms of France and England. You play Amicia de Rune, a 15-year-old heiress to her family's estate. You have been tasked with protecting your 5-year-old sickly brother Hugo as you make your way through the war-torn country of France. War is not the only threat to the country, however, as the Great Rat Plague has solidified its firm grip over Europe and continues to decimate the French countryside. Playing as Amicia, your only options are to use stealth and cunning to dispatch those that pursue you and your brother. Now, as you can probably tell, visually this game is nothing short of beautiful. You can really see the dedication that Asobo Studios, the developer, went through to create an authentic version of medieval Europe. The meticulous attention to detail seen throughout the game in regards to the castle walls, the clothing of nobles and peasants, the food, the buildings surrounding you in the towns, ultimately serves to keep you immersed in the story and amazed by the world around you. I honestly cannot find any fault visually with the game, so let's move on to the gameplay. Gameplay wise, A Plague Tale: Innocence features a few puzzles along the way, which in all honesty I personally did not find that difficult. I only really struggled with one, and that was because I had a bit of a brain fart and I just couldn't see the right place to jump onto the next platform to get to the next stage of the level. However, ultimately these puzzles shouldn't trouble you and can sometimes be a bit annoying if I'm totally honest, but they do serve as a nice break in between the areas that require you to stealthily navigate through guards. Moving on to the combat, Amicia is armed with an awesome sling which you can use to dispatch enemies that have their heads exposed, and as you progress through each chapter she gains different kinds of ammo for a sling which can be used for different situations. For instance, one of the items you receive further into the game allows you to throw a type of acid onto enemy soldiers that are wearing helmets, forcing them to expose their heads, which in turn will allow you to dispatch them with your normal rock ammo. The majority of the time you will have to stealthily avoid enemies rather than face them head on, as Amicia and her companions are children and are not physically strong enough to take on trained soldiers, which I think is quite a cool mechanic, as you have to watch guard patrols carefully before making your next move, decide on whether it's the right time to take out an enemy, what method to dispatch which enemy later on in the game, and so on. There are also workshops dotted around specific checkpoints in each chapter that allow you to upgrade Amicia's sling and other equipment from the various materials that you can find in each level. Upgrading equipment is definitely a necessity in this game, so make sure you do it when you can. Before moving on to discuss the story, I do unfortunately have to address the AI in this game, as it does leave a little bit to be desired. The AI does some really stupid things at some points. Nothing I encountered was game breaking, but the guards just sometimes behave really dumb. Like I remember one time I accidentally got spotted by 2 guards, and then I just ran to the nearest bush, went into stealth mode, and then both guards just stopped at the edge of the bush, gawking basically right at me. and then just went back to their normal patrol path. There were only 2 instances of this that happened to me during my first playthrough of the game, and like I said, it was nothing game breaking, but it was just a little bit immersion breaking to see this. But ultimately it didn't happen that often, but it's just a bit funny when it does happen. All of that being said, however, I found the gameplay satisfying, and the variety of tools and ammos you acquire during the game for Amicia are fun to use and provide great flavour as you progress. The story, as you probably can tell, is the main focus of this game. It's a very beautifully told tale of 2 children being exposed to the horrors of the world during a very dark period in history. Throughout the game, you can see the emotional struggle that Amicia and Hugo have to face when they are first exposed to horrors such as death for the first time. The story plays out over several chapters and is told in a linear style similar to Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Each chapter you slowly progress through each checkpoint until you reach the end. In each level there is a set path you must follow whilst collecting some secrets and items along the way. Overall, I really enjoyed the story as it's full of great characters and a solid plot. However, I do have some criticisms regarding it. Without going into spoilers, like I said at the beginning of the video, there were some beats that for me just didn't make sense, and I feel at certain points in the story some characters' actions felt a bit rushed, as they didn't really have enough time or context behind them, and we as the audience do not have enough time with certain characters for their actions to necessarily make sense or matter to us. To solve this issue, I would have loved to have had more time in the game and a longer story, but maybe Asobo Studios were restricted in their development regarding this issue. And at the end of the day, this is just my opinion, so maybe you guys will play it and you will find it completely fine, which is fair enough. All of this being said, I still really enjoyed the story and its plot. I found it very compelling and it was a wonderful experience. It was exactly what I was looking for when I was going through the Steam library, and I feel I got my money's worth out of this title. And that about wraps it up for my video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you got enough information from this to decide whether you're going to purchase the game. I can honestly not recommend it enough. I really enjoyed playing it, and Asobo Studios, you should be very proud of what you achieved with this title. It was a total surprise and I absolutely loved playing it. It was a pleasure to play it. Now, by my watch, that is actually under 10 minutes, so I didn't go over 10 minutes, so I didn't take up too much of your time. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping me a like. I really appreciate it, as I want to produce more videos. Drop me a comment as well if you've got any feedback, positive or negative, or you just want to joke about my bald head. That would be great. But it's actually a perfect time for me to go down to my local pub, because they have an offer on every Tuesday, which is the time I'm recording this video, where you get free food if you spend a certain amount on drinks. So that works for me. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Lots of love, guys. Cheers.